Hey, this is Jeff Lavery, editor of barnfinds.com. Wanted to show you something today that I haven't done before. I'm actually on the road, if you will. I'm not in my garage where I've been showing you previews of the 1986 Mercedes 190 E Cosworth, which we've documented on these pages. Today I'm going to show you another project I have down in the great state of Georgia, actually right on the Georgia-Tennessee line. As some of you know, I've been helping to market some vehicles as part of a large Georgia collection. Some of you actually have bought vehicles from that collection, and we'll be having another post shortly with the next round of photos of some cars and trucks I haven't shown you yet. But today I'm going to show you something I grabbed from the collection, and it's a little bit different than what most of you would probably look to buy or acquire, but I took this in as a means of a commission for some of the things we've sold, and the reason I liked it is for two reasons. I'll tell you before I show you what it is. One, as a longtime European car guy, I've never built a true 4x4. And two, this particular 4x4 is all but extinct up in my home state of Rhode Island. They're non-existent. They rusted out years ago, and this one is amazingly rust-free, and it's a desirable early model two-door version of a really cool old truck. So I'm going to show you that momentarily. All right, barn finders, here's the big reveal. You might be somewhat disappointed. This is my 1986 Isuzu Trooper two-door. Now, a few quick things about why this is special. For one, it's an 86, which is an early model. They had the round headlights. It looks like a Range Rover in miniature with far less complicated mechanical bits. Two, it's a two-door model, which is somewhat harder to find. Now, it's not the really cool short wheelbase RS Trooper, but it's still an early Trooper two-door. Again, I love it because those early Range Rover two-doors are just such a cool classic SUV. They're going for a ton of money. This will never be worth appreciably more than it is right now, which isn't much, but it is a neat looking rig. And three, I just love the fact that I've never had a 4x4. And down here in Georgia, where my in-laws live, my wife and I spend a fair amount of time, and there's a ton of trails out here in northwest Georgia, right near the Tennessee line. So this is probably going to live down here for the short term. I might bring it up north where I live at some point because it'd be a good beach vehicle too. But for the price of free, I'm not going to worry too much about how ugly it is right now because it's never going to be that pretty. The big thing is this is a sort of extinct vehicle, at least where I live, and it's rust-free. There's no rust on the body. I've crawled all underneath it. The frame is in beautiful shape. Just got some mud on it that, when it's hosed off, it's going to look great. And, this is a truck that is dirt cheap to buy parts for. I've already bought a few boxes worth of OEM parts, and they are so ridiculously affordable. And you don't even need to do OEM. There's plenty of used parts to buy and also plenty of parts on Rock Auto that work on this. This is a very simple vehicle. So overall, I know as I take you around it, you're going to look at it and say, wow, that's really rough. But the important parts, as far as the body is concerned, is that there's no rust on it. It's a good foundation, and it's going to be a perfect trail rig someday when I'm done with it. So let's take a closer look at how the Trooper looks from side to side. Hey guys, so here's the 86 Isuzu Trooper, a bit more up close. I'll show you a few things I love about this. In addition to being a two-door body, you can see this body is solid. There's no rust in the sills. All the ones up north, they've got rust in the rockers, rust in all the jack points. There's nothing like that here. This is, as far as a Survivor goes, probably the closest you're going to find, because a lot of people junked these things eons ago. And I know that's because mechanically the engines weren't that great. They had a tendency to overheat, but they were pretty decent off-road, even with just a set of tires and a mild lift. I'm going to live with just some decent tires for a while and see how it goes, maybe some uprated shocks and struts. But right off the bat, love the fact that it's rust-free. I also really dig the old-school graphics. Now, as many of you likely know, the movement towards celebrating vehicles of the 80s and early 90s, most recently captured in the rise of an event called Radwood. Those old-school graphics that shout out that has four-wheel drive on board, that just doesn't happen anymore. It's not something that manufacturers really do. So, again, the fact that those survived so well, it just made me love this truck even more. It was kind of why I fell in love with it to begin with, and asked my friend here who owns these vehicles if I could work out a little bit of a commission arrangement for it instead. And Some other things to note with two-door bodies, this actually had a longer door for the two-door, so it's a unique design. It wasn't just, they didn't put a second door on the back of it. This door is unique to the two-door bodies. Got these great sliding windows, so the windows go the whole length. They slide open. Who cares if you have air conditioning? Although this is equipped with AC from the factory, so that makes it a little bit more interesting. I think it's an LS model, which had different wheels than the standard white steel wheels, which is actually what I'm putting back on there because I love that look. Obviously this paint is tired, but it's single stage paint. I have a feeling with some buffing work it'll come back pretty nicely. I don't intend to ever paint this truck. I just want to have it kind of look a little bit tough and rough and so on and so forth, but that's going down the side. The other side is much the same. The other side was the side exposed to the sun, so it has a little bit more sun bleaching here. Love the OEM roof rack, and like I said, this is a pretty straightforward, pretty simple vehicle. There's not a whole lot to tell you about it, but underneath looks really solid, no sign of rot through anywhere. This does have the back seat, which was optional, believe it or not, so it has the original back seat, and the interior is in pretty good shape, so we'll take a look at that next. Let's take a look at the Trooper's interior. Now, the good news is with a truck like this, it's so simple inside that there's really not much to break or to replace. That being said, the driver's seat was fairly well destroyed, at least on the left side where the bolster would be. It has fallen apart pretty dramatically, so I was fortunate to find a replacement driver's seat at a salvage yard in the Blue Ridge area. It'll need a good cleaning, but structurally it's in much better condition. Other things up front, passenger bucket seats in good shape. The original Isuzu tape deck is still there. The original shift knobs are still with the truck. It has all those things that if this were an abused or pillaged truck, all those things would be missing by now, but they're in good shape. And another good sign is that the very brittle and oftentimes destroyed plastic cassette holder mount is still in great shape too. The dash is cracked. I'll look to replace that at some point. I have a few leads on a replacement dash that is free of cracks, but that's a low priority at the moment. Out back, as I mentioned, the optional back seat is still with the truck. It's in good shape. Doesn't look like it saw much use over the years. And then further back is a cargo hold, which is filthy, but again, not much to write home about in terms of anything special or unique as it relates to equipment that might have gotten broken off or gone missing over the years. Headliner is in nice shape up above, and really, aside from a good cleaning, there's not much I'm worried about tackling inside here, other than maybe someday getting the factory AC working again, which would be ideal given that this truck is equipped with factory AC and not all of them had that feature. But again, like the dashboard replacement, getting the AC pumping again is fairly low on my priority list. That takes us through the cabin, and let's see what we got out back. So here's a Trooper out back. This is sort of the only other real issue I know right now that exists. So the original hardware for opening the door is pretty feeble stuff. This one has been replaced with what amounts to hardware store fixtures. So I've actually got original components at home, so those will be replaced at some time, along with the this is where the license plate cover and light would have been at one time. That's also gone missing. Over here, this is one of my other favorite details. I don't know if you can see this. I love the old school dealer branding. So this has been a Georgia Trooper all its life, originally being sold at a dealer called Pugmire in Marietta, and the original dealer plate frame is still on the front, and that badging back there shows this truck has never ventured up to the place that I call home up north, where things like this tend to rust out pretty profoundly. So here's the other side of the truck. As you can see, it's much the same, a little more faded paint, if you will. You can see some of that sun burning right on that pillar, but no rust, none of that troublesome rust on the sills and the jack points that I'm so accustomed to. And this door, I already know, has a bad hinge in it, so we're leaving that closed. And there's that awesome round headlight grille that I like so much, along with that original dealer plate frame. So this will be a pretty significant project in terms of bringing it back to life, but it's not going to be a complicated one. Even if the motor needs a bit of a rebuild, a new top end, what have you, you can buy those on eBay all day long, fully assembled head, whatnot. But I just wanted to show you guys this project. I'll be talking about it more on barnfinds.com as we move forward with it. But for now, I'm just going to welcome this to the Barn Finds fleet and wish me luck on my first ever 4x4 project. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.